I let her put a collar on me, right there, in front of everyone. And I didn't even flinch. I laughed like it was a joke, like it wasn't the most humiliating thing I've ever allowed in my life. But it wasn't a joke, not to them. At first, I thought I could handle it, play the game, be charming, blend in with the freaks and billionaires. But they weren't partying. They weren't partying, they were watching. We were all being tested. How I reacted, what made me nervous, what I do to fit in. I still feel that collar on my neck, even as I speak to you. People don't talk about these parties, not because of the sex or the drugs or the big names. It's what it does to you inside. The shame doesn't hit right away. It waits until you're alone looking in the mirror, realizing you said yes when you should have screamed no. Where are you watching from? Say something below, just in case this video disappears, or I do. And if anything here feels too real, subscribe to this channel. You might want to keep listening because it gets worse. They say it takes 21 days to break a habit. It's been over a month, and I still flinch when someone reaches for my wrist, like I'm expecting pain, even when there's no reason to. I didn't walk out of that place bleeding, but it still left a mark. The house wasn't wild or chaotic like I expected. It was quiet, the kind of quiet that makes you feel like you're being watched even when no one's in the room. No phones, no music. No one raised their voice. Everything felt too controlled. They placed me in a room with 9 other people. No names or introductions, just expensive furniture, soft lighting, and a man in a dark suit who told us, very calmly, to sit where we were told and speak only when spoken to. No one asked questions. We just followed instructions. One girl kept laughing, nervous, too loud. Someone walked in, placed a hand on her shoulder, and led her out, and no one asked where she went. A few minutes later, someone brought in a silver tray. It held 3 envelopes, 2 glass vials, and a small knife. We were told to pick an envelope and follow whatever instructions were inside, quietly. Without delay, one guy was told to undress and kneel in the corner. Another had to drink from one of the vials. Mine told me to choose someone in the room, cut their palm, and hand the blood over to the staff waiting at the door. I made the cut. He barely reacted. Someone stepped in, dabbed the blood with a cloth, and walked off. No one looked disturbed. No one even spoke. A few minutes later, Beyoncé passed by the open door. She looked inside. She saw the blood, the kneeling man, the silence. Her expression didn't change. She just kept walking. And that's when I realized we weren't there to party. We were there to be watched, broken down, and sorted. They didn't tell me where to go. You're just expected to know when it's your turn. I followed the hallway, past 3 men coming out of a room. One of them was wiping his mouth with the back of his hand. The other 2 looked dazed, like something had just been taken from them. The door they came from was still open. I looked inside. 2 women stood in the center of the room, both fully dressed. A man was on his knees in front of them, naked, arms behind his back. His mouth was bleeding. He was smiling. A staff member was watching from the corner, writing something down. No one looked at me. No one said anything. That's what made it worse. Another room, a group sitting in a circle while a woman danced in the center, barely clothed, barely conscious. Her movements didn't look like her own. One of the men reached out and slapped her thigh. Hard. She flinched. No one reacted. I kept walking. You're not told what's happening. You're not told the rules. You learn by watching. And you learn fast that this place doesn't care what you're comfortable with. It only cares if you're willing to stay. Every guest is tested, not by force, by choice, or what they let you believe is choice. In another room, a man sat blindfolded while 3 others gave him orders. Touch this. Say that. Open wider. The more he obeyed, the more praise he got. Soft voices telling him he was doing well, that he was going to be remembered. I realized then, this wasn't about some dirty freak-offs. It was about submission. And I was being watched the whole time. A woman in a red dress stepped into my path. "Do you want to participate?" she asked. No smile, no warmth. I hesitated. "That's good," she said. "The hesitant ones usually break better." Then she walked away. And I just stood there, frozen, wondering if I'd already failed something I didn't understand. Celebrities are the filth beneath the surface of society. We treat them like gods, defend their every move, repost their inspirational quotes and outfit photos. But behind the charm and polished interviews, most of them are just disturbed individuals with more money than restraint, people who have run out of lines to cross in the public eye, so they turn to private spaces where no one says no. I used to think they were just spoiled or out of touch, but that night changed everything I believed about them. The house wasn't a party, it was a performance, and the stage was built for people who didn't need to lift a finger to feel powerful. Everything had been designed to break people down, while the audience sat back and enjoyed the process. There were no screams or outbursts. The guests weren't chained up or dragged around. It was all done through silence, subtle commands, and the crushing weight of expectation. Obedience was the only language spoken in that space. Some of them sat behind glass, others lounged openly, watching as people carried out instructions they hadn't agreed to aloud, but couldn't refuse either. I remember one man in particular, someone with a recognizable face from a Netflix series, leaning in to whisper something to a staff member. Not long after, a girl was pulled from the back of the room, stripped without ceremony, and laid on a low table like a centerpiece. The man didn't even stay. He left the moment she was positioned, as if the request itself was the real pleasure. No one protested. The guests who were being used either complied with blank expressions or performed like it was a chance to win something. Some even smiled through it, while others looked dazed, like they'd already detached from whatever self they had before walking in. The line between submission and survival blurred so quickly it became meaningless. Everyone knew how it worked. If you followed the rules, you got attention. If you hesitated, you were ignored. And if you broke just enough, but not too much, you became the main event. What they wanted wasn't sex or beauty or spectacle. It was control. They wanted to watch people give themselves away in pieces. The slower it happened, the more they watched. It wasn't chaos or scandal that drew them in. It was obedience. Quiet, willing obedience that could be bought, shaped, and discarded. None of them thought they were doing anything wrong. They called it art, called it liberation, called it expression, but it was nothing more than cruelty with a budget. The people funding it were faces I had seen 1,000 times. Singers, designers, billionaires, actors. Not hiding, not whispering, not acting like criminals. Just sitting there in designer clothing, letting others do the dirty work while they watched with the calm, detached pleasure of people who know no one can touch them. This wasn't rebellion. It wasn't a secret cult or a misunderstood subculture. It was evil wrapped in wealth, polished by image consultants, and hidden behind PR teams. And the scariest part wasn't what they did. It was how normal they made it feel. You ever have a moment where you realize the world isn't just broken, it's been engineered that way? That house, those people. It wasn't some underground cult or conspiracy. There were no masks, no secret handshakes, just powerful people doing what they've always done. The only difference was, this time, I was close enough to see it. Diddy wasn't in the corner whispering deals. He was on the couch, legs spread, drink in hand, laughing while a grown man crawled across the floor with a leash in his mouth. I stood maybe 10 feet away. No security between us. He didn't care that I saw. He enjoyed it, like humiliation was the entertainment. I remember thinking, he's done this before. Not just once, 100 times, maybe more. And suddenly all those whispers I used to scroll past online didn't feel so stupid. Jay-Z sat with 2 other men in a glass booth overlooking the main hall. He didn't smile. He didn't move much. But people looked at him before they did anything serious, like they were seeking silent approval. He just nodded. That's all it took. When he stood up, the staff around him scattered to make space. I don't know what he said to the woman brought before him, but she shook the whole time. She still did what they asked. Justin Bieber wasn't a guest. He was something else. I saw him backstage, not performing, just present. The way he walked, it was like his body remembered instructions. Like he didn't need to be told anymore. Someone bumped into him and apologized. He didn't even react. Just stared forward like his soul was on pause. I heard someone near me say, "He learned early. That's why he's still around." That sentence made me nauseous. Connie showed up late. He didn't speak, didn't smile. Just stood in the far back, watching as a girl screamed her safe word 3 times. And no one stopped. His face didn't twitch. He looked like a man watching a demo reel. And when it was over, he turned and left the room without saying a word. But Beyoncé, she didn't need a stage. Her power came in silence. She walked the rooms like she owned them. Not surprised, not disturbed. She didn't look away when things got violent. She looked closer. At one point, a girl, maybe 19, was shaking too hard to finish what she'd been told to do. Beyoncé leaned in, whispered something, and suddenly the girl went still. I don't know what was said. I don't want to know. That was when it really broke me. Seeing her like that. Controlled, composed, proud. I used to think maybe she didn't know what Jay was doing. I was wrong. She knew everything, and she liked it. She had her own fantasies, her own rituals. The freak-off wasn't his alone. It was theirs. And me, I wasn't even part of the show. I was just a test, a throwaway, a stray who wandered in and proved how fast a man can fold when he wants to belong. I didn't scream. I didn't run. I did what I was told, and now I live with that. No one stopped me when I left. No one looked up. I wasn't a threat. I wasn't special. I was just another body that did what it was told and then walked away like nothing happened. But everything happened. And now, I can't laugh at rumors anymore. I can't hear people say, industry secrets, like it's some inside joke. Because I saw the truth. I stood in it. I participated, and I still feel their eyes on me when I sleep. You don't have to believe me. That's fine. That's what they count on. Your silence, your doubt, your memory scrolling past this because it's too much. But if you made it this far, comment something. Anything. I need to know someone else still feels real. And if you still think I'm lying, if you think this is just some viral story or made up horror fiction, then hit subscribe. Watch closely. Keep going. Because if they invited me in, they can invite anyone. At this point, I don't need sympathy. I just need you to see the world we live in the way it really is. I shouldn't be saying any of this. I don't know how long this will even stay up. These people don't send threats, they erase things. Erase people. So if you've made it this far, say something. Comment. Subscribe if you have to. Just don't disappear back into comfort like the others did. I don't remember how it started. I was given a drink, and everything got blurry from there. My body was weak, but my mind was alert as before. I could feel everything, but I was too weak to do anything about it, or to stop them. I felt different people get their hands on me. Some soft, some rough. Voices telling me what to do. Bodies pushing and pulling, over and over, until I stopped keeping track. There was no break, no safe word. I was passed around like I didn't have skin or bone, like I wasn't supposed to feel any of it. But I did. It hurt. They took turns. Old men with breath that stank of expensive liquor. Women who smiled too wide, like this was a game they played often. Some were younger than me, some much older. Some didn't even look at my face. They just used me, adjusted me, gripped me like furniture. I remember one moment, brief but burned into me, when someone asked if I needed to stop. Not kindly, not out of concern, just curious, like they wanted to see if I'd say no. I couldn't. Because the truth is, somewhere in the middle of all of it, I realized I'd already lost. Saying no wouldn't save me. It would just change how I was punished. And they enjoyed that more than anything. The ones who liked watching people try to hold onto their dignity before it slipped. I think that's what the whole night was about. not sex, not power. Just watching someone realize they don't matter anymore. When I left that house, I was still bleeding, not in a way that shows, but deep and worse. Something in me stayed hungry for pain, for shame, for the feeling of being controlled. They broke something, rewired it, and left me to figure out what kind of man came out the other side. I tried to go back to normal. Got a job for a while, smiled through conversations, but it didn't last. I started chasing rough situations. Bars, strangers, dangerous neighborhoods. I let people use me, didn't ask questions, didn't set limits. I thought maybe if I just kept sinking, it would stop hurting. It didn't. The worst part is, I didn't hate it. I hated who I was before more. The guy who thought he was above it all. The guy who thought evil wore horns. Now I know it wears cologne, diamond watches, soft gloves, and a familiar smile. A few weeks ago, I got some blood work done. Routine check. I hadn't been feeling right, but I figured it was just burnout. The doctor didn't look me in the eyes when he gave me the results. Said I had something rare. Untreatable. Months left. Maybe less. At first, I didn't feel anything. Then I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it made sense. You don't walk out of that kind of place and live a full life. You don't get to rebuild. You get to rot quietly, like they planned it all along. Now I spend my days drifting. I sleep wherever I can. I don't look in mirrors. I can't hold conversations. I'm not asking for pity. I don't want redemption. I just want someone, anyone, to know this happened. That they do this. That you sing along to monsters. And that I help them. So if you're still here, watching, type something. Just a word. So when I go, I know someone else knows this isn't a nightmare. It's memory that have tortured me for years. And soon, it'll be gone with me. I don't feel anything anymore. Not when I talk about it. Not when I see their faces on TV, pretending they've never hurt a soul. Not even when I look at my own reflection and realize I don't recognize what's staring back. Pain used to sting. Shame used to burn. Now it all just rolls past me like wind through an open room. I'm not healed. I'm emptied. People think surviving means fighting your way back. Like if you push hard enough, therapy, forgiveness, time, you'll eventually stand up straight again. That's not what happened to me. That house didn't just break me. It removed things. Scraped out anything soft, anything warm. And what's left? It moves, breathes, functions. But it doesn't live. I used to feel panic at night. That's gone. I used to flinch at certain sounds, certain smells. Not anymore. The memories are still there, crystal clear. But they don't hurt. They just sit inside me like film on a hard drive. Playing, looping, background noise. And I let them. Because feeling nothing is easier than pretending I still care. I see people now and wonder how much of them is real. How much of anyone is real? How many others have been through those same doors? Smiled for the cameras afterward, gave interviews, made music, sold shoes, gave speeches, accepted awards, all with blood still drying somewhere inside them. And no one ever noticed, or worse, no one ever cared. The truth is, I don't care who believes me. I'm not doing this to be saved. I'm not looking for sympathy or redemption. That ship's gone. This isn't a warning. It's not a message. It's not even a confession. It's residue. What's left when the person inside slips out and never comes back? They did that to me. Slowly. Precisely. Like they knew how far they could push before I'd disappear. And they were right. Because the person who walked into that house isn't here anymore. Just a voice, drifting. Waiting for the rest of me to catch up. Don't mourn me. Don't study this like a tragedy. Just remember that this is what they make. This is what they leave behind. Not bodies, shells. Breathing. Walk-in evidence that some things don't kill you. They just erase what made you worth saving. Some people are very quick to judge, but if you ever find yourself where I stood, don't think you'll be different. You won't fight. You won't run. You'll fold. You'll comply. You'll disappear. Just like I did. I won't say any of this again. There's nothing left to tell. If you need proof, rewind. If you want more, subscribe. If this disappears, then you already know why. But if it doesn't, leave a comment.